South Africa's parliament formally chose Cyril Ramaphosa as the country's new president last Thursday. He was elected without a vote after being the only candidate nominated by the parliament in Cape Town. And so this leads us to our question of the week, in which we asked, what are your expectations for the new South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa? Let's start with a tweet from Upano Godfrey, who tweets, President Ramaphosa is old wine in a new bottle. I expect nothing much to be added to the economy and the people of South Africa. We've got another tweet here from Kasozi Fahad, and he says, we expect nothing from the new South African leader. It has been the same trick used by the ANC to overstay in leadership. Now to our social media comment of the week from Facebook fan Greens Kansime in Uganda, and he writes, the popularity of the ANC had drastically declined under former President Jacob Zuma's endless corruption scandals. President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to make a number of reforms that will strengthen the economy, create more job opportunities, improve social services, and ruthlessly fight against corruption. Let's go to another comment here from a Facebook fan, Abdul Hakim. He's in Uganda, and he writes, the main challenge will be reviving South Africa's economy. It has slowed down the past 2 to 3 years. And our last Facebook comment comes from Bridget Gugi in Tanzania, and she writes, there is a fine line President Ramaphosa must walk with his victory. He should quickly push his progressive initiatives, but he must also know when to collaborate with a sometimes fractious legislature. The year is likely to be one of the longest and most confounding in South Africa's political history. And that is all for today's social media segment. Shaka, you and your guests have a lot of comments to discuss, so I'm going to hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Hayde, for sharing some social media reaction with us. And of course, today we are talking about the controversial political transition in South Africa. Our distinguished guests are Ni Akuwete, African policy analyst and activist, and Dr. Fiwokuhule Muyandu, Professor of African Studies at Howard University. Gentlemen, once again, I have to say that I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to have the opportunity to host the two of you on Straight Talk Africa.
Thanks very much for having us.
You're most welcome. Your reaction to some of the social media reaction?
Yes, I was struck by the first one that said that President Ramaphosa is just an old wine in a new bottle.
Really?
In other words, that we can't expect much from him. I do think that you can expect some different policies. I mean, I was reading his State of the Nation address, and I was also looking at snippets of the budget that was read a few hours. He's doing some things very differently and emphasizing that he wants to make a break. So I do think it's going a different direction. On the other hand, it strikes me that some of the might be concern being you need to acknowledge and address the legacies of apartheid is being left off the table for now. Now, South Africa has elections next year, which means that before the election next year, there will be another budget. And so I'm thinking, being a shrewd politician, he's trying to satisfy the markets for now so that the economy doesn't sink further. But when he gets closer to the elections, he will tend to doing the things that the majority of the voters, which means majority of black South Africans who are poor, the things that they would like, and there he will get competition from the EFF. So I expect him to zig and zag a bit. So my reaction is, I don't think he's an old face. We've been seeing him for a lot, but I think in terms of policies, he's trying to be very different from Jacob Zuma.